What is going on, nieces and nephews? I know, what a trip. Another video so quickly. This really is just a quick video. This is going to be my, I should probably get this done before too long. I guess my practical 1-year review on the Ninja 500. Whether you should get one for yourself, especially as a new rider, or should you avoid it, get something bigger to start with. So, especially now, I'll preface this with, there's what, almost 8,000 miles on the bike now. I've put about 600 on it since I've gotten my Flash. About 7,400 miles were put on the bike in the first year prior to the Flash. And so now I think this is actually a good time to do this video, because I think if I would have done the video before the Flash, I think my opinion would have been slightly different. Not a whole lot, just that there now are some things that have been taken care of on the bike that I didn't really know was as big of an issue to me than they actually are, like the fuel decel cutoff, throttle response. But let's kind of get into it. You know, the Ninja 500 is a fun, light bike. It doesn't have a ton of power, but it's not supposed to. I still think it's probably one of the best beginner bikes to learn on, because it has enough power to have fun, but not quite enough power to really get yourself in trouble. I feel like as a newer rider, if I would have gotten a bigger bike on day 2, I would have looped the bike because I was having problems with whiskey throttling. You know, that's when you go, whoa! And I'm pretty sure I would have looped the bike, because I did a small wheelie off of the line as it was. So if I had anything with more power, that thing probably would have came out from underneath of me. It's only about 380 pounds wet, so it's not a super heavy bike. So that's what makes it really fun for how I ride in the city and up in the twisties. It just makes flicking the bike around really super easy compared to, let's say, a 636, a ZX6, right? Which is going to be, what, 60 to 80 pounds heavier, a little bit taller, way wider, just not nearly as flickable. And I don't really ride to properly use a 600cc bike, let alone, you know, a 1000cc bike. So I think for those that aren't chasing speed and power, especially, you want something that's fun around town, you want something that you can throw around, you want something that is fairly relatively cheap, then I think the 500 is it, you know. It doesn't have a huge top speed, but the top speed that it does get to is still criminal. Like, so I don't know why you would necessarily need more. You don't. People's egos do, you know. But there's no need for more, especially if you're just a city rider. I think it's perfect for that. It pulls well. Like, here, I'll do a quick pull. Just kind of shows, you know, I'm in the city. You know, I'm not gonna go super speeding around. I'm gonna do quick pulls like that. I'm gonna get my dopamine and my adrenaline rush, and I'm good. And then I'm back down to legal speeds. You know, for riders like me, and admittedly, you know, I'm quite a bit older. I'm not your typical Gen Xer, but I am a Gen Xer nonetheless. My kids are in their 20s. So my enjoyment of this bike is quite a bit different than, you know, some of the younger kids out there, right? I don't have the same, I'm not chasing the same things. I'd rather have super fun up in the twisties with the bike than, you know, doing a 140-mile-an-hour run on the freeway. That's just not my, that's not super fun to me. So, you know, the riding position is fairly good on this thing. It's not super aggressive. It's still fairly relaxed compared to, you know, bigger bikes, super bikes. You know, 636, ZX4. You know, the seating position on those is quite a bit more aggressive. You know, they're not going to be a comfortable commuter bike. And if you spend any amount of time on the bike, you know, like when I go out, like this is a hobby for me. I don't use this to commute, right? So this is just a hobby for me. And if I'm going to spend a couple hours at a time on the bike, I need to be completely comfortable. Otherwise, you know, what's the point of being uncomfortable for the whole time that you're riding? It makes no sense. So yeah, for a bike, if you're learning and you're just trying to get around town, you want to have a ton of fun, this is the bike for you. The torque is pretty flat throughout the power band. It's very predictable as far as the power goes. Now, I will say this though, the fuel decel is kind of a pain in the ass. Fuel cutoff on decel is a pain in the ass. I didn't realize how bad it really was until after the tune. See, look at how smooth that decel is. Right? It's not just you let off throttle and the throttle body's just slammed shut anymore. Because that's what happens on a stock tune, is that you let off the throttle and the throttle body's just closed. There's no partial closing. There's no easing off into that. It's either open or closed. Same with the throttle. You know, it's open or closed. There was no feathering the throttle. It's like this. You know, coming off. Let's come off the throttle and then back onto the throttle. That right there would have been super jerky, as I'm sure a lot of you know, on a stock tune. So that is not great on the bike. Those are probably my two biggest gripes of the bike. Now that I've got a tune and know that that's not really how it should be. And then I think the third and fourth gripe that I really have for the bike are all ergo stuff. They're both going to be ergo stuff. So the third would probably be the seat. If you can afford it, upgrade your seat. I got the Wolf lined. The stock seat is incredibly uncomfortable. It's slanted towards the tank, and so as you're riding, you just slide towards the tank no matter what you do. If you're trying to keep your butt in the back of your seat, it doesn't work very well because the angle of the seat just slides you forward. So the Wolfline seat that I got is more flat, it's more cushioned, and it's literally saved my butt. And then the probably fourth thing, the clip-ons. For me, they were too far in here, and it just gave me weird angles, and I had to get clip-ons to move them out. And once I did that, things were so much better. So I think, for me, those are the biggest issues with the bike. Very minor issues, and a lot of it is because of me and my comfort. But other than that, the bike itself has been bulletproof. I'm still having a ton of fun. I don't get bored while I'm on the bike. You know, I still spend a couple hours at a time when I go out. And the tune just really made everything better. Just paying attention there. But the tune has just kind of made everything better. And I'm still just having a blast. This is just so much fun. It's great. Especially with the new peppiness to the bike. But in stock form, I still think it's a great, amazing starter bike. Not only a starter bike, but somebody's forever bike, right? Especially if you're not chasing speed. You don't have to listen to every bike bro out there that says, oh, you've got to have a 600, you've got to have a leader bike, you've got to have a H2. Like, so you tell everybody that drives a Honda that they should be driving a Lamborghini, and it's just like that makes no sense. Like, it makes absolutely no sense at all. People should ride the motorcycle they want, have the fun that they want. There's a cop up there. Have the fun that they want, and not worry about what other people say, and ride your ride. For me, being my age, being a Gen X, I don't really care what anybody says, to tell you the truth. I really don't. I don't mod my bike for other people. I mod it to raise my enjoyment of the experience on my bike that I pay for. Just because I build my bike a particular way doesn't mean I'm going to crap on somebody for building theirs a different way. At the same time, though, I may not like it, right? And if you ask my opinion, I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I don't do that. Like, if you ask me, oh, what do you think? It looks like crap. I don't like it. You know, certain things that people put on their bikes I just don't like. But that's okay, right? Because it's not my bike. And it's the exact opposite. Like, I don't care what people think about my bike. I'm not worried one stitch about what people think about my bike. I'm going to do me. I'm going to continue to build my bike the way that I want. You know, there's probably a ton of people that say that, you know, I overspend for all of the Grave stuff that I buy. But that was my vision when I first bought the bike and started building the bike, was that I was going to do a mainly Graves build on the bike, and I've followed through with that. That's just how I do things. You know, this isn't just, you know, just a bike for me. I mean, it is, but like when I was in the car scene in my younger years, when I had my Impala, so things were themed, and you know, it's a build, right? It's not just my motorcycle. It turned into my motorcycle build, my Graves build. You know, and maybe a couple more pieces that I like to get, but for the most part, I'm done. Like, there's not a whole lot more that I need to really upgrade on this bike, especially in Graves form. Rear sets, maybe. I'm just not sure I want to spend $600 on rear sets. You know, I can update front and rear shocks. You know, I could do the Gixxer shock in the rear if I wanted to save some money. I probably won't. I'll probably just actually do actual shocks if I ever go that route, which I might not. I don't know. Depends on what I do with the bike. But it's my bike. And the point is, really, get the bike that you feel you're going to have fun on, that you can be safe on, that you can control. And don't worry a lick about anybody else. And you know, a lot of people are going to, or some people do crap on the 500. Oh, blah, 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 and I just roll my eyes at them and I just go on with my day. But for everybody else, you know, everybody loves the bike, you know, especially new riders. They've got a lot of questions about 500s because they've heard about them and they want to know how it is. And I tell them straight up, it's great. It's a great bike. A couple small minor inconveniences, but they're very minor. And for the price, you know, out the door, brand new, what, $6,000? You could probably find 300, 400s, 500s all over Facebook Marketplace for quite a bit cheaper than that. do it. Insurance is going to be a lot more cheaper than a 600, especially a liter bike. The insurance costs are insane. For what? Like, why are you throwing away all of that extra money just so you can have a little bit bigger of a bike that you can't even really use properly on the street in most places? Now, maybe for down south where you know, Texas, California, Arizona, where you've got these long swaths of freeways where you can really let the bigger bikes eat. Maybe. You know, and you spend a lot of time on your freeways and you want to go 140, 160, 180. Okay. But for most people, and especially for me, I don't have that. Like, anywhere I need to go, I don't need to take a freeway to get there. And I generally don't. I'll take surface roads, I'll take back roads. There's just no reason for me generally to jump on the freeway at all. And so, if that's the type of rider you are, then I'd say a 500 is going to be perfect for you. And there's tons of upgrades, there's tons of mods that you can do to make it your own. Fairings, you know, levers, exhaust, headers, everything. So, I'm still firmly a fan of the 500. My opinion has not changed over the course of my riding this past year. If anything, I probably make a stronger argument for the 500 just because it's been such a great beginner bike for me, and has been solid and allows me to refine my skills without being super unsafe about it. So yeah, that's my opinion. That's where I stand on the 500. I love it. I'm gonna keep the 500 even after I upgrade. I'll keep the 500 just because I can, and I want to, just because I know I'd regret selling it just because of how fun it is. You know, a ZX4, ZX6, it's going to be a completely different experience than the 500 is, because they're meant to do different things. Sneak in here. They're meant to do different things, so it's hard to try to compare them, just because, you know, the purpose of the bikes are completely different. You know, the 500s, you know, it's a sport bike. It's not a super sport. It's not a super bike. You know, it's a sport bike. It's down there, you know, it's a baby bike, but I'm okay with that. And as long as you are okay with that, the 500 is going to treat you amazingly well for the price and the power and what you get for it. My 2 cents. Take it how you will. I don't really care, because I'm going to continue riding my 500. And we'll continue modding it and continue refining this build. So that's where I'm at. I think that's about it. I'm going to go rip some of these back roads back up here just a little bit before the sun goes down, and I'm going to try to be a little bit more consistent now that I really have my bike back. It's up, it's running. There's not really much more that I need to do, especially to bring it down. My warranty's up, my flash is done, everything is installed. Really, the only thing I have left to do immediately is I've got some new grips, and I need to put those in. I got the new Domino grips instead of these ones, see if maybe they're a little bit better. Other than that, I think we've got the Barnett clutch kit coming up, especially with the quick shifter. The clutch is slipping a little bit more than usual. It doesn't like to necessarily stay in, but it was a planned upgrade anyways, so I just need to do that. So yeah, I will keep everybody updated, and probably keep an eye out for a video coming up soon. It's just going to be a riding video, pure sound. All mount my mic externally. I'll probably record learning the lake ride. We've got a pretty cool lake ride up here by where I live, and I don't really go around it too often. I've been around it a couple times, and it's the lake that I grew up on, so the road itself is not new to me. I know the road itself, I just haven't really taken a motorcycle up on it too much, so I should learn it on that and see how that goes and get some sounds. Other than that, ride safe, especially here in my state and Washington. We've had a lot of motorcycle deaths lately. I mean, like one a week for the past month, I'd say at least. So, nieces, nephews, be safe out there. Wear your gear, keep your head on a swivel, and make it home to your family. That's the goal every time you throw a leg over your bike, is make it home to your loved ones. So, barring that, go have some fun and enjoy the summer. Alright, y'all, ride safe.